On January 14, 1761, the plains north of Delhi saw the death of nearly 100,000 men in a single afternoon. The Maratha Empire entered that day as the subcontinent's dominant military power. By sunset, their centralized command structure was shattered. To trace the origin of this collapse, we have to look back to the death of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in 1707. His passing exposed a deep economic rot within the Mughal state, known as the Jagirdari Crisis. A jagir was a land grant given to nobles in exchange for maintaining troops and regional stability. By the mid-18th century, the empire faced a severe shortage of profitable land to distribute. The resulting administrative factionalism and shortage of revenue hollowed out the imperial military. Mid-18th century India had become a massive geopolitical vacuum. The Maratha Confederacy pushed north to fill that void, projecting power from their administrative centers in the Deccan. In 1752, the Marathas and the weakened Mughal Empire signed the Ahadnama. Ahadnama is a Persian term for a formal legal treaty or agreement. The treaty granted the Marathas the right to collect the chowth, a 25% regional tax, across the north. In return, the Marathas were legally bound to defend the Mughal throne against all internal and external threats. This legal obligation placed the Marathas directly in the path of Ahmad Shah Abdali and the expanding Durrani Afghan Empire. The Ahadnama changed the Marathas from mobile regional raiders into the stationary defenders of Delhi, making a confrontation with the Afghans inevitable. The Maratha defeat at Panipat was driven by three systemic failures, starting with their total diplomatic isolation. Years of aggressive chowth tax extraction alienated potential regional allies. When the crisis arrived, the Rajputs and Sikhs refused to support the Maratha cause. This friction extended to the Jat King Suraj Mal. He urged the Maratha commanders to leave their non-combatants and heavy baggage in safe Jat forts to regain their mobility. Commander Sadashivrao Bhau rejected the proposal. In response, Suraj Mal withdrew his troops and abandoned the Maratha coalition. Abdali, meanwhile, successfully recruited regional Muslim leaders, including Shuja-ud-Dawla of Awad, by framing the Marathas as an existential threat to their power. Shuja-ud-Dawla provided the vital financial backing Abdali needed to sustain a massive army deep in the Indian interior for months. Abdali led a financially stable coalition. The Marathas, isolated by their own economic policies, fought alone in hostile territory. The second failure was the total collapse of the Maratha supply chain. In October 1760, Abdali crossed the Yamuna River and cut the Maratha supply route back to Delhi. The massive demand for grain and fodder from 200,000 non-combatants exhausted their reserves within weeks. During the 2-month siege, the Maratha soldiers, horses, and elephants faced mass starvation. The offensive on January 14th was a desperate breakout attempt forced by this lack of food. The final failure was an incomplete transition in military technology and battlefield tactics. The Marathas had moved away from their traditional guerrilla strengths to adopt European-style pitched warfare. This schematic shows Ibrahim Khan Gardi's deployment. He relied on heavy, static artillery and infantry lines unable to pivot quickly. Abdali countered with samburaks, camel-mounted swivel guns. These mobile units easily outmaneuver Maratha firing lines, striking from multiple angles. The Afghan infantry used the Jazail, a long-barreled musket. The design allowed Afghan soldiers to outrange the Maratha musketry. The Marathas used a rigid tactical model against an enemy optimized for long-range, rapid mobility. Despite these disadvantages, the Maratha artillery initially forced the Afghan right wing into a retreat during the first 3 hours of combat. The tide turned at 2 p.m. when Abdali committed 15,000 fresh, heavily armed reserve troops into the center of the fight. At this critical moment, a stray bullet killed Vishwasrao, the son of the Maratha Peshwa. To recover his nephew's body, Sadashivrao Bhau dismounted his elephant, leaving his ornate howdah empty in the middle of the smoke. Maratha soldiers saw the vacant seat and assumed their commander had fallen. The army instantly panicked. A battle involving hundreds of thousands of men was decided by a 60-second psychological collapse that shattered the Maratha cohesion. While Abdali won the battle, His losses were so severe that he could not maintain control over Punjab against the rising Sikh missals. A missal is a sovereign state or administrative unit of the Sikh Confederacy. The central power of the Maratha Peshwa in Pune was broken, and the empire decentralized into a loose confederacy of regional leaders. Over the following decade, the young Peshwa Madhavrao I led a brief Maratha resurgence that restored much of their influence in the north. This painting shows the eventual outcome of the power vacuum. The British East India Company watched the subcontinent's two primary military powers exhaust one another. The Maratha defeat at Panipat in 1761 allowed the British to consolidate their control over Bengal following their victory at Buxar in 1764. The Third Battle of Panipat served as history's greatest filter. By exhausting India's indigenous powers, the conflict established the precise geopolitical conditions required for 2 centuries of British rule.